Hey guys, welcome back. This is a Cub Cadet HDS 3185 riding lawnmower or garden tractor or whatever you want to call it. Spotted this little honey on the local Craigslist and today I went and picked it up. She's all mine. Now according to the internet, which I have not independently verified, this model was built only in 1998, so it is 21 years old. It has an 18 horsepower Briggs & Stratton V-twin engine, a 48-inch deck, a hydrostatic transmission, power steering, and a hydraulic lift for the deck. That's pretty much the end of the options. This one doesn't have anything fancy other than that. So as you might have guessed, she needs a little bit of work. It does not currently run. However, the owner claims that the engine will run if you pour a little bit of gas into the carburetor. So we're going to verify that here in a minute. But let's take a little walk around. So cosmetically she's a little bit rough. Probably looks better on the camera than it does here in real life. I think for sure this fender section has been resprayed and repainted at some time. And it might have looked good when they did it, but it looks pretty terrible now. Comes with some extra wheels. According to the seller, they replaced the deck at one time, and those are like some extra wheels off of the old deck, or yeah, I don't really know. I don't know why they would have replaced the deck. I don't know if it's not original. Looks like it might be missing a guard in the middle. Maybe not. I don't know. 3 blades, 48-inch. Looks like it's pretty substantial. The tires on this side, I believe, are original. They say Cub Cadet right on them. However, the tires on the opposite side are kind of a mismatch. So the front one's been replaced, the rim is original, but the rear on the right hand side, that's actually the wrong size tire and it's not the original rim, plus it's missing a couple of the lug nuts. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe they swapped in a spare or something and never went back and fixed the original. I really don't know. Definitely needs a seat. And then it had tail lights at one time in this rear fender section. One's missing, the other one's completely broken. Now the front end of the machine looks pretty clean, other than the headlight's a little foggy, but it's not broken, so that's a good thing. But it's starting to rust quite a bit on the bottom of the hood. Well, that's the engine, I guess, somewhere down inside there. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is strip off these side panels, and we'll see what we can figure out with this engine. We're going to try to do sort of a imitation of a Musty One Will It Run video. I always find those entertaining, and I'm sure if you guys know about me, you know about Musty One. If not, I will throw a link in the video description to his channel. Just watched a video where he's moving into a nice new shop, so good for him. Alright, this can't be the problem because it's way too simple. This is what I found when I pulled the cover off the side of the engine. Check out this fuel line right here. Can you guys see that? Right there. You think that might stop it from sucking fuel? I wonder. So, man. Alright, before we go any further, let me fix that. Oh, there's just no way. No way. Alright, I'm going to crank it over and we'll just see if this little inline fuel filter fills up. It looks like the rest of the fuel lines are in pretty bad shape, so let's not get our hopes up. I don't see anything yet. Negative. There we go. Alright, let's just use the vacuum gauge here and see if we can suck some fuel up. Alright, I hear it leaking already. Alright, I think I see the problem. The hose is cracked right here on this side of the fuel filter. So let's cut that back, see if we can do any better. Okay. Alright, I'm going to crank it, watch the fuel filter. Okay, let's try something else. Alright, I'm going to try to suck some fuel from an alternate source. See if we can rule out whether or not it's the fuel lines or the fuel pump, because I don't know. Okay, that looks suitably sketchy. Let's give it a shot. Negative. Let's see if it'll run on that. Interesting. Uh-oh. Alright everybody, I just made a big mistake. You can't smell that, but that's not gas. That is diesel fuel. Well, I guess it's better than gas in a diesel, but I wonder how much of that it sucked up. Man, that was really stupid. I should have known better than that. I used this fuel can for filling up my hot water pressure washer, which obviously uses diesel fuel or kerosene, not gas. Oh, you dummy. Yeah, that is definitely not gasoline. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, let's try it again with some actual gasoline. Hopefully I didn't suck enough diesel into that carb to cause any kind of problems. Guess we're going to find out. Hey, it sucks that up a whole lot better. Jesus, what a dummy. Give her some choke, see what she'll do. Yeah, it runs a whole lot better on gas. Runs pretty good. Sounds like a Harley Davidson. Alright, let's replace that fuel line. Alright, I don't have any service information about this machine. I don't have a manual or anything, so I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. But I think in order to change the fuel line, the fuel tank's here underneath the fenders. So we got to take this whole fender section off, which means I got to take the seat track, or the seat frame off here. But some chucklehead spec'd a flat head, you know, a slotted head screw here. So that's been fun. Luckily there's room enough to fit a box end wrench down on the bottom side of it. But these things are pretty chewed up already. I don't know why they're so freaking tight. Yeah, that's crazy. It's like these take a T30 Torx. Alright, there's two 1/4 inch bolts on either side that go forward in from the fender section into the platform. And I took those loose already. Should be able to just pop this little guy out. Alright, good thing the tail light was already screwed up, because I would have screwed it up just now. Okay, the fuel line is out. I had to take the platform loose, just 4 bolts to hold that down, but I didn't want to monkey around taking all the pedals off, so I just pried it up here on one side, and that's plenty of room to get to the frame rail there where the fuel line passes through. So let's see if we can come up with a new one of these. Now if you watch Musty's channel, you know that he has his famous Horde, which as far as I know contains every part required to fix every small engine ever made. Now I don't have quite the same amount of resources, but I do have a system that I use here called SOS, otherwise known as Stuff on a Shelf. And I think down here I got something that might work. What's this? Pretty sure it's this 1/4 inch fuel line. What does this say? That says 1/4 inch. Does it say fuel somewhere? Yeah, I know this is fuel line though. Why else would I have bought it? Okay, so we'll cut a piece of that, and then I'm pretty sure somewhere up here yeah, that's the ticket right there. Okay, we got what we need. Alright guys, a couple of things here on the fuel tank, and I suppose you won't be able to see this. This is the pickup that drops down into the tank. See right there, it's been kinked at one time and it doesn't look too great, but I blew in one end of it, capped the other end off. It's not leaking, so I think we're going to go ahead and put it back in. The grommet on this one looks okay, so we'll roll with that. However, this thing here, this is the low fuel level switch, and that's the grommet that goes around it. It's just crumbling and falling apart. And actually, a bunch of pieces of it were down inside the tank, so I took the whole tank out and cleaned it out. But we're going to have a, for sure, a new grommet, and also I tested the switch. The switch doesn't work, so we need a new sending unit and a new grommet. But I can't put my hands on one of those today, so right now what I'm going to do is just cap that hole. I can get to this by just taking the seat off. I don't have to take the whole fender off, but I found this cap for a can of brake clean, and it fits just perfectly in that hole. So I think that'll work for now. We'll cap that off and we'll go ahead and throw this fuel line on. And I'm going to replace the constant tension clamps. I'm going to use these wire style. I like those better. Plus I got these fancy pliers that work with those. Honestly, it doesn't really need the clamp. I mean, typically they seal up pretty well just on the barb, but we'll do it anyway. You know, belt and suspenders kind of a deal. There we go. I picked us up a new fuel filter as well. So this style should be fine since we have a pump. If you have a gravity feed system, usually they just use like a screen, but this should be good for us. Yeah, I think I'll shorten that up a little bit. I'll go ahead and do this last one from the pump to the carburetor. sure all this stuff is working. Looks okay. I went ahead and blew all the crud out of there. I went ahead and picked up an air filter. I think it's the right one. Okay, let's see if it'll run. Let's fill it up with some actual gas this time. Yeah, I think we need a new fuel cap too. Look at all this, I don't know, it's like gummy, nasty stuff. I don't know if somebody put some silicone in there or if this sealing washer is just degrading, but yeah, I don't like it. Alright, I see the problem with the bolts in this seat cover. So they're actually carriage bolts, and they're supposed to fit into a square hole here in this plastic cover. I guess you're supposed to take the whole seat cover and slide off as one assembly, but because my slides are so gummed up, I couldn't slide it forward and backward far enough to actually do that. So, lesson learned. Put it back together here. So here's what I mean about those fasteners in the seat track. So if you slide the seat all the way back, you can see it's exposed at the front, and then if you slide the seat all the way forward, it's exposed at the back. So you don't have to take these fasteners out, the ones I took out. Alright, let's do a quick wrap up on this Cub Cadet lawnmower. I think the engine is good to go. It starts good, it runs good, it's got plenty of power. It had a bit of an oil leak on the opposite side, but I think it's just because the oil filter was loose. I tightened it up and it seems to be just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and change the oil, and then as far as I'm concerned we can forget about the engine. It's fine. The throttle linkage maybe needs some work, but whatever, it's totally usable the way it is. The transmission seems to be fine as well. It's got enough power to spin the tires, so as far as I'm concerned that's good enough. But that's kind of where the good stops. There are quite a few issues that we need to address, but we can't really do anything without some parts. So let's go through the list. Alright, first on the list, it needs a seat. This one looks like it's probably original. It's in terrible shape. We know that it needs a fuel cap. We saw the bad seal. It needs the fuel level switch. It also needs left and right tail lights. I don't know how much I'm going to worry about that, but if they're not too expensive, I'll probably go ahead and buy them. The front headlight does work. What else? The deck definitely needs some help. It's kind of loud, and I would say, well, I don't think I know for sure. This center spindle is totally shot. Hopefully you can see how bad that's moving around on the camera. I might as well go ahead and do them all. Yeah, this one really doesn't feel too bad. But yeah, this one, it's not too good. Now there's also a little gearbox back there, a 90-degree gearbox. This is a shaft drive deck. I hope that the gearbox is okay, and that's not the source of the kind of loud noise that we're hearing. The steering cylinder is all messed up. It needs a tie rod end on that end. It needs a tie rod end on this end, and then it looks like somebody's replaced this tie rod end with some kind of incorrect something, and they welded it here. I don't know what's going on. They've been at it with some channel locks or a pipe wrench or something here. So that's all screwed up, and the problem right now is that it steers way too much to the left and not nearly enough to the right. So that adjustment's all wrong. Also, the center pivot for the front axle is pretty sloppy, and I cannot get it to take grease, so we're probably going to have to rebuild that. Now the deck does work, but it doesn't seem to have the power that it should have. I think the belts are slipping. This deal right here is a vacuum diaphragm that is supposed to tighten the belts. The vacuum part of it is working. However, I think it just needs a set of belts. They're too sloppy. And then that lower pulley right there on the front of the drive shaft, I think I had some video of it earlier. It just weeble wobbles all over the place. Probably they ran it into something and bent it. So if that's the case, I should be able to bend it back. If I can't bend it back, it looks like it's just a snap ring that holds it on there, and I can just replace it. So if it's not too expensive, I may just throw a new one on there. So all in all, I'd say that's probably pretty normal issues for a 21-year-old lawn tractor. It does have 650 hours on it, and I'm not a small engine expert, but my dad kind of is a small engine expert, so I asked him what he thought about that. He said 650 is okay, that these V-twin Briggs engines, if they've been taken care of, shouldn't have any trouble going to 1500 hours. So if that's the case, there should be plenty of life left in this old girl. But we're going to have to throw some money at it because, yeah, these issues that I have, they can't be adjusted out. They're going to have to be replaced. So I'll get a hold of the dealer and see what all these parts are going to cost me. I wouldn't be surprised if it's around $500 for all these parts. So I guess we'll find out. Seems like parts for these lawn tractors are pretty reasonable, but I don't know that for sure. I will find out. So we'll probably cut it off here, and we'll pick it up when I have some parts and some more information. Might see if I can get a service manual for it too, so I don't, go screwing things up. Alright, well, I hope that was interesting for you guys. And yeah, it was a pretty simple fix, just needed a fuel line, and we learned a few things along the way, such as don't remove the plastic seat frame off of the guides. Just take the Torx bolts out, and don't try to use diesel fuel to start your engine. Can't believe I did that. But yeah, all's well that ends well. I think we've got a winner here. So why don't you guys tell me what you would have paid in your area for a tractor like this in the condition that I bought it in. You know, not running, but kind of runs if you pour a little gas into the carb. And you know, you saw the cosmetics when I first brought it in here. So tell me what you think, and we'll see if I if I got ripped off or not. So thanks for watching, guys. Alright, bonus footage. Yeah, they must have hit something with that pulley. I just straightened it real quick with a pry bar.